Remember, Harry Reid did the same thing as well, calling the Republicans that did not want to pass health care reform as Nazis, and Pelosi as well. The Tea Party patriots were racist as well. Also, in national news, the Supreme Court nomination hearings of Elena Kagan. Interestingly, an Alaska Republican who's considered quite a moderate, Lisa Murkowski. She's not even pro-life. She's actually a pro-choice Republican up there in Alaska, and she's one of the few pro-choice politicians who also voted against the confirmation of Elena Kagan. And I love it when these things happen, because she just used logic. She didn't use her own ideology to just approve or disapprove someone based solely on specific opinions on specific issues. Rather, she said this, quote, "As Ms. Kagan acknowledges, the cases that come before the Supreme Court are difficult in nature and not always answered by precedent. Over the past week, Ms. Kagan has given the American people hardly any idea about how she will approach these difficult cases. Her responses to many of the questions posed by my colleagues on this committee were clever and graceful, but not terribly revealing and in many cases evasive. I did not support her nomination because I did not think she had the requisite experience for the job. She has experience in political advocacy and in thesis writing, but she has no experience as a judge and has had little substantial experience in the practice of law." So interesting that a pro-choice politician would not support Kagan. Also out of Washington, this comes from Life News. The White House has announced this grand effort to mute some of the criticism the Obama administration is getting for being so staunchly pro-abortion. And as you recall, in Notre Dame, in President Obama's now famous or infamous speech, where he said that the two sides need to come together and find common ground. So what they've done, they've announced the creation of what they're calling the Pregnancy Assistance Fund. According to a press statement received from the Office of Faith-Based and Neighborhood Partnerships, as well as the Health and Human Services Department, they're going to begin this $25 million program, which it's kind of ironic. It's actually part of the health care bill, which funds abortions, but I digress. Basically, they want these funds to be made available, to support pregnant women, it says, and teen parents, and build common ground on abortion. So there's going to be these grants available to provide things like scholastic assistance and material assistance for pregnant or parenting moms, assistance for child care, housing, and programs, and all these things. The skepticism comes in for myself and many other pro-life people that those kind of programs already exist, especially if you're thinking in terms of government programs and government funds for women and children. We've got Medicaid, we've got WIC, we've got things like Head Start, we've got all the different child care programs that you can get with government subsidies. Those kind of programs are already in existence. What lacks funding are specific pro-life crisis pregnancy centers, these ones that don't get any government funding whatsoever because they will not recommend abortion or because they won't provide birth control to teens. Those organizations are the ones that need those direct funds from the government and are not getting them. But the administration is thinking that this little effort, this pregnancy assistance fund, is going to make people happy. Interestingly enough, Planned Parenthood has signed off on this pregnancy assistance fund. They don't have any problem with it. So, when Planned Parenthood doesn't have a problem with it, it's probably not so much really a grand pro-life gesture. Also out of Washington, a new Zogby poll is revealing that independent voters, overwhelming, but a good amount are already saying they would like to see a change in the office of the president. 50% of independents polled said they want Obama out, and only 40% say that he deserves another term. So this is an interesting statistic because, as we well know, when it comes election time, that quote-unquote independent bloc that all the different sides desperately try to woo over, it's already looking like the independents are leaning in a different direction. You're listening to the Amy McManus Show. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Amy McManus Show. I want to sort of close out the show today with another reminder. I have had it on a previous show in the past year. I think it was last year, right about this time, about the new taxes that are going to be coming January 1st. So we're about halfway through the year, and 6 months from now, we're going to see major changes in our own income. And again, that promise that those who made under $250,000 was a complete farce. Specifically for families, lower income families and middle income families. So I feel like I need to pound that point. People need to start preparing, I think, for these various ways that you're going to see your income dropping. And it's naive to think that it's only the rich people or the upper middle class or the people who have stocks and bonds, and it's going to be all of us, and we need to start preparing for that. Cutting some spending, tightening that belt. It's not a cliche. It's a reality. So I want to impart to you some of these various taxes we're going to see. Economists are calling it this part of it that I would like to share with you. They're calling it the first wave. The first wave is the expiration of Bush's tax cuts of 2001 and 2003, the tax relief that was passed by the majority GOP Congress. And here's some of the bigger ones that I think are going to affect us. The biggest one that concerns me the most, of course, is the higher taxes regarding marriage and family. That great child tax credit that anyone who has children has been enjoying, even if you don't pay federal income taxes. It was kind of a gimme, basically almost a welfare handout of this $1,000 per child tax credit, which a lot of people have been relying on. Some people pay down their debt with it. Some people, go out and spend and stimulate the economy because that's so important, I guess. But that's going to be reduced in half back to that previous rate of $2,000. So that $1,000 child tax credit is going to go down to $500. The marriage penalty, which was the narrower tax bracket for married couples, is no longer going to be there. It's going to return back down to the single status of income. And the dependent care and adoption tax credit, so those of you who perhaps became adoptive parents in the past year or have an adopted child, that will be completely eliminated. So that's the big one. Also,